There are 10 switches inside your brain. Most of the decisions you made today were not actually yours. They were triggered by fear, by curiosity, by the quiet pressure of other people. And once you see these triggers, you start noticing them everywhere. In the store, in the office, in your own bedroom at midnight when you cannot stop scrolling. Here's the part no one tells you. You are not the one making the decisions. The triggers are. And the people who understand those triggers have been running your behavior for years. One of these triggers can make millions of people believe something that isn't true. Another can make you defend ideas you don't even agree with. And the final trigger is the reason entire civilizations rise and collapse. I am going to show you all 10. I am saving the most disturbing one for last. You clicked on something earlier today and you don't know why. You just felt a pull, a quiet, invisible urgency, and you followed it. Or maybe you were in a conversation, a meeting, a family dinner, and everyone around you agreed on something, so you stayed quiet. Not because you agreed, because disagreeing felt dangerous. You went home, replayed it, wondered what was wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. You simply didn't know the name of the force that moved you. That confusion was not weakness. It was information you were never given. You are about to receive it. I am going to walk you through 10 psychological triggers that govern every human behavior. These are not theories, they are mechanisms, carved into your brain over thousands of years of survival. Marketers know them, platform designers know them, politicians, negotiators, and every person who has ever successfully moved a crowd, they know them. Most people living inside these triggers never learn their names. The systems that use them depend on that. So here are all 10. Trigger 1. Fear. On the surface, fear looks like a response to danger. A threat appears, you run. That makes sense. But something else is happening. Fear does not require a real threat. It only requires a possible one. Your brain cannot distinguish between what is happening and what might happen. It fires the same alarm either way. You feel genuine dread reading a headline about something that has never touched your life. That is not weakness. That is the mechanism. Fear makes you react before you think. Every system built to control behavior, media, advertising, politics, leads with fear. Not because they want you scared, because a scared mind stops questioning and starts obeying. So what do? Name the fear out loud. When you name it, the panic loses oxygen. Fear without a name owns you. Fear with a name is just information. Trigger 2. Reward. Your phone lights up. A notification appears. You tell yourself you will ignore it. 5 seconds later, you check anyway. That is not weakness. That is reward. But it goes deeper than you think. Reward does not need to arrive. It only needs to feel possible. Your brain releases the same signal whether you win or whether you are one step from winning. The casino understood this before neuroscience confirmed it. Every notification badge on your phone is not a reward, it is the promise of one. And that promise alone is enough to make you check, scroll, return, and repeat. The reward never comes, the promise always does. So what do? Delay the check. 20 seconds. That pause interrupts the automatic loop. You stop reacting, you start choosing. Trigger 3. Social proof. You walk into a restaurant. One side is packed, the other is empty. Without thinking, you choose the crowded side. You believe you form your own opinions, But here's what actually happens. When you don't know what to think, you look at what others think and you align. Not occasionally, automatically. In 1969, psychologists placed one person in a room with 5 actors. They showed the group 2 lines and asked which was longer. The actors intentionally gave the wrong answer, and something disturbing happened. Most participants knew the answer was wrong, but they agreed with the group anyway. The 5-star review, the trending post, the applause in the room. You are not reading those as information, you are using them as a brain shortcut. Anyone who can manufacture the appearance of consensus can manufacture your belief. So what do? Ask one question before you follow. Would I believe this if no one else did? If the answer is no, you are not thinking, you are following. Trigger 4, curiosity. You see a headline. Scientists just discovered something terrifying about the human brain. Suddenly, you need to know the rest. You were not curious a second ago. Now you cannot stop. That feeling is not freedom, it is pain. Curiosity is a pain response. The moment you sense a gap between what you know and what you could know, your brain registers that gap as discomfort, and it will not rest until the gap closes. The click is the relief. Every open loop, every cliffhanger, every teased reveal is an artificially created wound. The question becomes more powerful than the answer, and anyone who can open that gap can direct you wherever they want. So what do? Before you chase the answer, ask who created this gap and why.
Not all curiosity is yours. Some of it was installed. Trigger 5, loss aversion.
People believe they are driven by what they can gain. That is not it. You are twice as motivated by the fear of losing what you have as by the hope of gaining something new. Twice. The pain of a loss is neurologically double the pleasure of an equal gain. You weren't going to buy it. Then the page said only 2 left in stock. Suddenly you want it more, not because it got better, because it might disappear. That shift happened in your body before your mind caught up. So what do? Before urgency moves you, pause. Ask, am I moving towards something I want or running from something I fear losing? That one question dismantles the entire mechanism. If you understand these triggers, you can predict human behavior with terrifying accuracy. Trigger 6, scarcity. Scarcity is one of the most powerful manipulation tools ever discovered. On the surface, it looks like economics. Rare things cost more, simple supply and demand. But your brain interprets it differently. Scarcity is not about what is missing, it's about what you believe you might never get again. The moment something appears rare, your brain assigns it more value, automatically, before reason arrives. A website says only 2 left in stock. Suddenly you want it more, not because it is better, because it might disappear. And here's the dark truth. The scarcity doesn't have to be real, it only has to feel real. The moment something feels rare, your brain stops being rational. Limited edition, exclusive access, only available today. None of those things need to be true, they only need to be believed. So what do? Real scarcity is silent, manufactured scarcity is loud. Before urgency moves you, ask, is this actually rare or was it made to feel that way? The loudest offer in the room is almost never the most valuable one. Trigger 7, dopamine. People call dopamine the pleasure chemical. It's not. It's the anticipation chemical. It spikes hardest in the moment before the reward arrives, not after. This is why the scroll never satisfies. You finish one video, the next one is already playing. You were going to stop. You didn't. Not because the content was better, because the anticipation of something better kept firing. Every app, every feed, every autoplay feature is engineered around that gap between wanting and receiving. The gap is the product. Closing it is the trap. So what do? Finish what you start. Completing a full task delivers a clean resolution. Your brain learns that arrival is real. The hunger for the next thing quietly weakens. But dopamine is not the most powerful trigger, not even close. The next one quietly controls entire populations. Trigger 8, tribalism. You believe you think for yourself.
But here's what actually happens. You think for your tribe. Not sometimes, constantly. Social rejection activates the same neural pathways as physical pain. Not as a metaphor, literally. The same regions, the same signal. So before you form an opinion, your brain runs a silent calculation. Will this get me rejected? If the answer is yes, the opinion adjusts. Not consciously, automatically. You stay quiet in rooms you disagree with. You adopt the language of the group you most fear leaving. You defend positions you don't fully believe because they belong to your people. This is why intelligent people defend terrible ideas. Not because they are stupid, because belonging is more important to the brain than being right. And you do it fluently, convincingly, even to yourself. Trigger 9. Status. And underneath tribalism, something even older. Your brain tracks your position in every room, in every relationship, in every hierarchy, constantly, without permission, without pause. A perceived drop in status triggers the same neurological cascade as a physical threat. You interrupt in meetings, not because you have something urgent to say, but because silence feels like losing ground. You overspend on things you don't need because they signal rank. Most arguments aren't about truth, they're about rank. You correct strangers on the internet, not because accuracy matters, but because being right feels like rising. It feels like survival. Because to your ancient brain, it is. Status does not just influence behavior, it quietly organizes everything. Careers, politics, friendships, social media. Most people believe they are pursuing happiness. In reality, they are chasing position. And every platform, every brand, every political movement that has ever moved a population used this. They did not need to convince you of anything. They only needed to make you feel like the right side was the winning side. The most efficient form of control is the one that makes you want to be controlled. Trigger 10. Reciprocity. Someone does you a favor you did not ask for. Now you feel you owe them. That feeling is not gratitude, it is a trigger. Reciprocity does not require a gift you wanted. It activates the moment anything is given, whether you asked for it or not. A free sample, an unrequested compliment, an unsolicited favor. The social debt is created without your consent, and now the person who gave it holds leverage you never agreed to hand over. You say yes when you mean no. You stay longer than you should. You apologize for simply receiving. So what do? You are allowed to accept without owing. A gift designed to create obligation is not generosity. It is a transaction in disguise. There is one more trigger that does not appear on the list. It quietly amplifies all the others. Attention. Every trigger you just learned, fear, scarcity, dopamine, status, none of them work without first capturing your attention. Whoever controls where you look controls what you feel, and what you feel controls what you do. The entire architecture of the modern world is built around one goal: not to inform you, not to entertain you,
to hold your eyes 1 second longer than yesterday. So what do? Choose deliberately what receives your attention, because attention is not a small thing. Attention is the door. Everything else walks through it. You now know the architecture. 10 triggers, ancient, automatic, running beneath every thought you believed was entirely your own. These triggers will never disappear. They are ancient, they are automatic, they will fire again tomorrow. But now, something has changed. You can see them. And the moment you see the trigger, the system loses its power over you. The unconscious becomes conscious. The automatic becomes a choice. The easiest mind to control is the one that believes it is free. Your behavior was never random. It was always driven by fear, by reward, by belonging, by the terror of being left behind. These mechanisms are real and they are ancient, but they are not you. They are the machinery running beneath you, and machinery can be understood. Machinery can be interrupted. Unconscious behavior ends the moment it gets a name. That is now you.